Welcome, welcome, welcome to Speak the Truth. No, it's late. It's like 9:47, but we get ready to enter a new year, and I just can't allow what's going on right now in the news just to bypass. I want to get this out because tomorrow is December the 31st, the last day of the new year. So I know people are planning, hopefully, to go to church. I know people are going to go out. But you want to end this new year, with a bang. So we're just going to just talk until people start coming on. I know that it's late and I prefer to do a live earlier, but life happens and it just takes a little time to get it together because you're busy, doing other things like working and like cooking and things like that. So we're just going to wait till people start coming on to join us. I know that the topic, it's been all in the news. The New York Attorney General is released a video about what happened to Robert Brooks. Court documents share allegations against Marcy, that's a correctional facility. So it's like you have different people, like cops react to officers brutally beating the inmate. So there are a lot of like police chiefs, everyone is responding to this because I guess that was so brutal that it caught the attention of the governor. So Governor Hochul, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's the New York governor, and she has even come out to visit the Marcy Correctional Center where it happened. So you have activists, having rallies following the death. And I know that people like things like this happen. I think we're so accustomed to seeing incidences like this, and then there's a rally, and then you have the activists and people are saying like we want justice because this is just wrong. And I think that now that Trump is in office, like there's a lot of stuff that's been so backwards, like everything that's been going on, it's like people are now more alert to what's right and what's wrong. So you have more people that since Trump's been elected the president, that people want justice. People want to see the truth. People want to hear the truth. People don't want to be lied to. People want to hear the truth from their leaders. And so I was surprised to see that Governor Hochul, she called for the firing of the 14 employees. These are the 14 prison guards that had beaten this man, Robert Brooks. I mean, he was handcuffed. Hi. I know this is a story that, like, the new year is coming in. So, like, tomorrow, I'm like, really want to go over the year of positive things because this 2024 had been challenging. A lot of stuff had happened. President Trump running for office and two assassination attempts. And even in New York, I mean, he was supposed to be campaigning. The way that the New York is kind of crazy. They had the actual presidential candidate that he had to attend trial. So Trump has experience what I guess that's why so many black men really wanted to support him, is because they felt a connection. Like you have black men that felt like he understands because the things that Trump went through wasn't right. I mean, they did try him against with a case that passed the statute of limitations, but he still had to go to court. And how do you take the person that's running for president and you have him in court? That means he can't run, that he can't really campaign. But this is what happens. So I don't know what's going on in New York. It's like a lot of stuff be happening in New York. It's just like New York is like the new Gotham. It reminds me of Batman or whatever. So anyway, I'm going to turn that off. Yeah, so a lot of things are jumping off, but what I do like is that the mayor and the governor, and you have like these different police chiefs, that they are getting involved. They see what's going on and they are speaking out. And to me, when you have other officers and when you have um, chief of police and different people that are looking at the video and they're horrified. They're speaking up. When you have the governor that's going to actually go to the correctional Marcy Correctional Center, and it's disturbing for her to her, then you know it's a lot, because these things happen and it happens too often. You know, what's going on, it happens too often, and it shouldn't be happening. If you're already in, especially if you're already incarcerated, you're already paying the price for your crime. You're already, you know, living through your, you already been sentenced. You shouldn't be in prison and then you're being abused, you're being beaten up, you're being raped. I mean, I don't even understand one thing that I find mind boggling. Why are men allowed to rape men in prison? Why isn't that against the law? I don't understand that. How come men who rape men are not being held accountable in prison? They're already, it's crimes against them as well. How come assaults aren't against them? There needs to be a overhaul of the prison system, because nobody should go in there and you're being beaten to death, you're being raped, you all kinds of things are happening to people that are already being punished. They're already punished. They're already incarcerated. So a lot of them have already been sentenced. They are already have to do their time. Some of them might not never get out. But in spite of all of that, they're still human and they still do have rights. And you have a right, like if you're already incarcerated, you have a right that when your time is up and you paid your price to society, you're supposed to be then let free. And then you're supposed to have rehabilitation, and you're supposed to be able to start your life over after you pay for your crime. But this man, Robert Brooks, didn't have that opportunity. And it happens too often. It happens too often, and it happens to, for some strange reason, it always happens to Black men. I'm tired of hearing stories that a Black man is handcuffed. I don't know why white people are so afraid, or people in general, of Black men or Black people, when Black people are not the threat. Black people are not running up trying to kill you, and they're handcuffed, and you got the gun, you got the bulletproof vest, you have all the things to keep you protected. But the Black person, no matter what, it could be a Black child, a Black female, especially a Black male, you're always the threat. And Black people need an anti crime bill, because the Black people need what the illegal immigrants have. An illegal immigrant can set people on fire. They can kill white women. They can kill children. They can kick cops in the head in New York and be set free. And they have protection. They have protection. Whatever they do, they have protection. They have protection that Black Americans don't have. Black Americans don't have the protection that they have. And that's not right. Don't spam it. If you want to leave a comment, you can't spam it. Okay? Let's remove you. Yeah. So it's like you have to, really question, especially if you're God fearing, you believe in God or whatever, you got to do things that are right. There's always punishment for evil or people that don't do right. There's always. Oh, did I got hacked? So we have a right to want justice. And I think that when President Trump, when he experienced the system for himself, and he got to see him as a white man, not just a white man, a former president, and then a billionaire. He's a billionaire. When they could do what they did to him, then that's when he realized that they could do it to anyone. They could do whatever they want to. When you have the system on your side, you can treat anyone any type of way you want to. And for so many centuries now, Black people have been not I don't believe we've been through what the Native Americans have been through, because the Native Americans is like they're almost their whole race has been wiped out. I really feel for them. I feel like that it's been they haven't received justice. Like the Native Americans, only thing they did was open up their arms to settlers, and this is what their payback. But black people they were enslaved. They were put in slavery and helped build this country, and like been asked for reparations. It looked like to me it went to the legal immigrants. They're not giving it to black people. But one thing that black people do need is justice, to be treated fairly. If you're already incarcerated, if you're already paying your price, I mean, for people, 14 guards went in there and they beat this man to death. And they know about these type guys. I forget the name that they call these guys, but this is the stuff that goes on. I mean, they showed him no mercy whatsoever. There was no mercy in any of this. And it's hard to like fathom that people can be that cruel and wicked, that like when you have no one that's going to stand up and say, y'all going too far. Y'all need to stop. You're killing him. What are we doing here? 14 people and other people were looking on, and nobody stopped him. Nobody stopped it. And that's a problem. When you have people standing around and no one does anything, is why evil happens and wickedness happens, when people don't do anything. These people, these cops, they assaulted him. He was handcuffed. He's already in prison. They dragged him. They picked him up and with his hands and legs, and they dragged him into a room, and they killed him. They literally murdered him. And it was so gruesome. Like anytime you get the governor of New York involved, Governor Hochul, and she called for the termination of these people, they all need to be locked up for murder. It's not enough calling for their firing them. Termination is like, I'm gonna put it on. His name was Robert Brooks, and he was incarcerated, and they had him handcuffed. I'll show you a little bit of what they're talking about. But people, you got every activist you could think of, black, white, everyone is coming together. All different nationalities, all different creeds and color are coming together on this. And this is what this nation needs to do. We need to be standing together for what's right as Americans. We do have a justice system.
So you are the first
this is it.
state assemblyman that was formally incarcerated. So you know what life is like behind bars. When you saw this video, though, did it come as a surprise to you?
First and foremost, thanks for having me this morning, Hazel. No, it wasn't a surprise. It reawakened the dormant feelings I had when I served time. Just going through that experience.
Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe.
It was just horrific. We watched murder on footage. It was a modern day lynching to me, and just to see Robert Brooks' reaction on that table, helpless, defenseless. Thank God for the audio, because you can't hear the agony and the screams, which were reported throughout the facility. It was just horrible.
Yeah, I can hear the emotion in your voice, how hard this is.
I'm trying to contain it.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's horrible.
Some of the guards reportedly were sued before for cruelty.
Well, there's a systemic gang assault going on in these facilities. Assemblymember Damar Meeks and I, we toured Mohawk and Marcy right after the event, and we found out a lot within those two facilities alone. There's a widespread of brutality in those both facilities, and it's why I'm calling for the closure. We have a unit there specifically that beats on incarcerated individuals. They call themselves the hit squad.
They beat on them, called the hit
squad.
squad.
Of the officers that you've seen in the footage are part of the hit squads.
The hit squad.
So the incarcerated individuals that
they're above the law.
Knows, hey, let's avoid this squad right here if you know what's good for you.
Oh my! So they're known.
Oh, they're known. It's out there. It's known, and it's been quiet. Thank God that the camera, the body cams were recording. Although it was off, it was recording.
But if they're known, how is this allowed to happen, and how are they allowed to remain employed there?
Well, we never had body cam catch it before, right? So it was always swept under the rug. Disciplinary hearings never favored incarcerated individuals. You automatically believe officers, staff. So, it's swept under the rug quite often. But Hazel, I am starting there are 42 prisons in the state of New York, 13 maximums, 26 mediums, and 3 minimums. I've been to every prison since elected, with the exception of the 3 I was in, Elmira, Mid-State, and Cayuga.
He was in
But I'm going to
prison.
revamp that. I'm going to visit every prison starting tomorrow and issue a report about every prison.
So Assemblyman, Marcy and Mohawk facilities, why not clean house? Get a better culture in there. Why push for closing down the facilities themselves rather than maybe the personnel?
That's a good question. So we thought about that when we first went, Assemblymember Demond Meeks and I. We thought it was just an isolated incident with 14 officers, a few sergeants. Before we seen the footage, we just thought it was just isolated incident. And then when we went into Marcy and into Mohawk and we talked to incarcerated individuals and staffers who were afraid to talk, we found out it's widespread. We have additional 43 officers' names and sergeants that we want to be brought up as well, in addition to the 14 who are being charged.
43 additional.
43 additional officers and sergeants. One of the good things that Governor Hochul did was help secure the nomination for Commissioner Dan Shilo. He's a new commissioner, and I feel sorry for him. This fell on his plate. He's doing a great job, much more to do. But we got to follow this up, and I think closing these 2 facilities is the right thing to do. It's written with officers who systematically abuse incarcerated individuals.
I mean, the Oneida Correction Facilities, they're now enforcing that these cameras be on and working anytime there's this type of interaction. Do you think that that's enough?
No, it's not enough. And if you look at some of the footages from Officer Mitchell and the 3 other officers, you look at their body cams, they knew that at one point or another, the camera was on. So you see a sergeant come and turn it off. You hide it, Who are you going to believe, an incarcerated individual or an officer or a lieutenant or a superintendent? When you file these charges on incarcerated individuals, they have no help. So we kind of side with the system.
What else could be done, though, to safeguard? Because do you feel like anything would be foolproof?
Body cams is a big start.
Okay.
Again, we have documented abuse in these systems. Let's talk about Corey Rise from one of the exonerated 5s. Reuben Wills, he was incarcerated at Marcy for about 7 years, abused 3 times. Now one of the biggest political consultants in the city.
Yeah.
It's documented. We just need change.
Had you ever witnessed anything like that?
I witnessed and experienced it.
You did experience it while you were inside?
Yes. In that whole corridor, in that hub, the Oneida hub. So in the Oneida hub, you have Marcy, Mid-State, and you have Mohawk. When I was transferred from a maximum facility, Elmira, to Mid-State, that's where I experienced abuse by an officer.
And did you report it? Was it documented?
I reported it.
And what had happened?
Just swept it away. I'll give you another example. Just in Marcy, 3 days ago, Christmas Eve, Assemblymember Meeks and I, we talked to the incarcerated individual. He had a cast on, and he was afraid. He didn't want to talk because of retaliation. And getting him to open up, he shared. He said, hey, look, 4 days ago, 2 of those officers who are out there guarding this room right now broke my arm. And when we took me to the infirmary, his girlfriend works in the infirmary. So she didn't want to designate the arm broken with just sprain, and they wrapped it up in the gorge. So in agony, he cried 2-3 days. They finally took him out to the hospital and found out his arm was actually broken in 2 places. Even though he cast. Those little things. These men are 5-6 hours away from the city, don't want to report it. The correction officers guard the mail, they guard the phone. There's no protection for them. And it's unfortunate because, these young men and women experience abuse too in these prisons. They're sentenced. They did something wrong in society. Their debt is to go into these prisons, rehabilitate themselves, correct their behaviors, and then come home. That's the debt to society. Do your time, come home. And none of those sentences I've seen a death sentence, which Robert Brooks received.
Yeah. Let's hope this is the start of turning it around finally, right?
We're praying,
You know what? That's just some. It's
again,
like
we
a
have
lot more, but this is just someone like he actually was incarcerated himself, so he knows all about what happens at Marcy Correctional Center because he actually was in the facility. But the thing about it is that this happens too often and too many times. And like what Robert Brooks went through, like you're already incarcerated, you're already paying the price for your crime. And for them to come in because they are above the law, you have so many of these officers. Now 14 officers, out of 14 officers there wasn't one sane person in the room to say, okay, you we're going too far, we're going to kill them. But it almost makes it look like they intended to kill him because they knew they beat him to death. They knew they could get away with it. They even they talking about their audio wasn't on. They said that the screams and everything that was heard throughout the building, it was just unbelievable. If he was, when somebody's being beaten to death, it's probably a sound that
It probably was calling the N word.
yeah, that was the least of his problems. That when someone is beating you to death and you are dying, the agony and everything that he went through probably was even hard to listen to.
Why I said that is because I'm saying they wouldn't have done this to a white person.
They don't do this but they can control themselves. Cops can control themselves, but the problem with the United States and all of this time is that no one is prosecuted like they should be prosecuted when things like this happens. Every time something like this happens, what they do, okay, well, this person used to sell drugs, so this person did something else. They try to justify this person used to smoke weed, or it's always something else. You stop them for a traffic light, it's a traffic violation, but they wind up dead. Their little boy playing a part, they could wind up dead. You could walk down the street with Skittles, you wind up dead, but it's always a reason. Unarmed, not resisting arrest, and things like this have continued to happen to black citizens. But cops can restrain themselves. They restrain themselves when it comes to every other nationality except for black people, because I guess they don't say it out loud, but an unspoken word that you can actually harm a black person and there's no repercussions. And as long as that goes on, as long as that's going on and people aren't held accountable, is the reason why it doesn't stop. You have to hold people accountable. Just like someone committed a crime, they're held accountable. When these cops and people that are put in these positions, they're servants of the people. Whether that person, we pay their salaries, they're servants of the people. But a lot of times they don't look at themselves as servants of the people. They look at themselves that they are above the law, because you have some people that go and they become cops and things like that because, say, when they were in school, they were bullied. You'll find the shortest people, the weakest looking people, or might have been a person that everybody looked over in school. Those a lot of times are your officers, are the ones that were bullied, or the ones that were the nerd or whatever in school. They had problems. They already had problems for themselves, and they become cops. And when you become a cop, no matter what your size is, then you have authority. It's like your authority is above the average citizen. Your authority. So that's why I think they felt emboldened that they could take this man, 14. That means this was premeditated for 14 of them to get together and to take and just murdered this guy, and they probably went home, slept well, said hi to their kids. They probably have children, and they just killed this man. And it's just unbelievable.
New details following
the things that go on that have been allowed, and it's only allowed. You don't hear this with white inmates. You don't hear this stuff happening, with different incarcerations. And that's should make it more of a issue that there is control, that this stuff is being done, but because of no
Death of an inmate
consequences.
from Rochester.
And that's why even the governor of New York, she went to Marcy Correctional Center. She had to go to the correctional center because it was so egregious that she had to go and find out what happened to that inmate. You know, you can't even make this up. You can't even cover this up. This is just a little bit for people who don't
It
know
involves police
what
body cam
happened.
video showing a New York correctional officer beating a handcuffed inmate as he sat on a medical exam table. We want to warn you, this video could be disturbing to some
Yeah,
viewers.
y'all can
Now,
watch
those
it.
assaults
This
happened
is what
December 9th. One
happened
day
to
later,
him.
43-year-old Robert Brooks was pronounced dead at an
This is
upstate
what
New
they
York
did.
hospital. Well, now
This
there's
is the
follow-up coming from
outrage.
both the New York Attorney General's office and the governor's mansion. Here with us is Kirk Berhalter, a former New York police detective
Jesus
turned law
Christ.
professor. Kirk, good morning. Thanks for joining us. This broke overnight. We reached out to you in
Jesus.
very short notice. Thank you for coming on today. First, let's start with the legal rights that this victim's family has. Do they have any legal rights when it comes to this?
Well, yes, certainly. They have some civil rights, loss of a loved one, but this is primarily a criminal matter.
Yes,
and
it is.
The victim here, unfortunately, is the deceased. We could talk about it further. The victim is all of us, to be quite honest,
Yes.
as the public. But primarily, I would believe the family is going to seek recourse through
This
the criminal
is
justice
criminal.
system and
Yeah.
then perhaps through the civil system.
I'm with you. I thought the same thing when I saw that video. That's really all of us. This was just a New Yorker who was seemingly beat up by an officer or a corrections officer. Attorney General Letitia James has not said if charges will be filed against the officers, but why would they not be charged?
There is
especially with this
no
body cam video?
reason why they do
So
what they
first,
did. There are
prosecutors, in order
none.
to charge these correction officers, will have to establish a causal link. So certainly by looking at the video and the fact that the victim passed away soon after, one would believe the link is quite evident between the beating and the victim's death. However, this has to be established by a medical examiner. This is a primary factor in any criminal action for murder or manslaughter. So I think that the Attorney General is correct for not getting ahead of herself yet until she's consulted with her attorneys and viewed all the medical examiner's report.
Kurt, your insight is so greatly appreciated, and I want to ask your thoughts on the timing of releasing this body cam footage now, weeks after it happened. Again, it happened on December 9th.
December the
So
9th, and they
body
just
cam
released
footage,
it.
That's a great question. Quite often the public will believe that body cam footage is reviewed instantaneously. But it's not always reviewed instantaneously. It takes a couple of days. Quite often it depends when the person who's responsible for reviewing it, number one, reviews the footage, and then it has to go up the chain of command, right? So if this particular supervisor reviews the footage, that person is not automatically going to forward it to the Attorney General. It has to go up to the chain of command, and then the Attorney General makes a decision as to whether or not to release it based on what legal action they plan to take. So it doesn't mean that they were sitting on it, doesn't mean that there was any nefarious intent given the amount of time that it took, just has to work its way through the channels. We don't have any laws in place that says body cam footage must be released in a particularized amount of time.
That makes sense. Thank you for that. 4 officers involved never activated their body cameras. From your experience, was that an accident, or do you believe that could have been intentional?
Intentional.
So it could always be an accident. And this is an issue with body cam devices. Very few of them are automatic, right? So the onus is on the police officer or the correction officer
You
to
put
activate
the audio on,
And certainly,
the video on the audio,
have such a horrible incident, and that is coupled with a delay in the activation of the body cam. It leads one to believe that there was some intent to delay its activation. But I would reserve judgment on that until all the facts come out, of course.
I don't reserve it.
The State Department of Corrections and Community Commissioner said he would implement, quote, institutional change in his department. What would you like to see be done, and what could be done here, Kirk?
Well, that's a very interesting question. First and foremost, all law enforcement officers, not just correction officers, all law enforcement officers have to realize and ensure that they understand, rather, that the job of law enforcement is not to dole out punishment. That's the job of the courts, right? Police officers, their job is to deliver an offender to the court. Correctional officers, their job is to ensure that the court's sentence is carried out. So first and foremost, this must start from the beginning, that all law enforcement officers understand their role within the system. And second, there has to be zero tolerance. And leadership comes from the top, not from the bottom. Has to be zero tolerance for this type of punishment. No human being has the right under our system of government, under our United States Constitution, under the law.
No one has the right
to take the onus on themselves.
That's right. That's why we have laws. That's
Thanks
right.
for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find
like
News
what
Nation
he
on your
said
television
is
provider.
exactly
And don't
right.
forget to click the red subscribe button below to get
Exactly
more of News
right.
Nation's
No one has
fact-driven,
that right.
unbiased coverage.
No one has that right. So it doesn't make any sense. That wasn't even a justice. That was like, I don't even know what you would call the actions. There are no excuse for it. Sorry. There are no excuses for what had happened to him. There are no questions about it. The thing of it is why is it allowed? If they felt like that they would have some sort of repercussions for their actions, then it wouldn't have happened. Things don't happen when people know that they're going to be punished for their actions. These guards felt emboldened. They felt like 14 of them, they all planned to meet at that time to take this man and to do what they were going to do to him. He was not going to come out there alive. That's why they didn't stop it. There was no one there to say that's enough. You're going to kill him. This is too much. It's nothing that he has done that they could justify what had happened. You have cops are talking about this. Other officers are talking about this. That's how egregious that it really is. It's like, it's so disturbing that people can treat people in this manner. Yeah, they wanted to kill him. That wasn't by accident. When 14 of them went in there, that's what the mandate was. The mandate was to take them out because that's what happened. So that's why we could say, okay, that was the mandate. That's what they wanted to do. I don't know why this one.
To host a class. SavageTrainingGroup.com.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And like they have like on here, they have like other
footage from 4 officers' body cameras.
I do not take lightly the release of this video.
That night at 9:21, body camera footage from Sergeant Trombley shows
this is a cop's reaction. These are cops reacting to this video.
With the ground. A minute later, he's seen being carried by 3 officers into the infirmary. He's placed on an exam table. At 9:24, video shows this officer with his body cam off walk into the room and shove a cloth in Brooks's mouth. He punches Brooks in the face once, then hits him 3 more times. Then this officer with the backwards hat punches Brooks and smacks him 3 times with Brooks's own shoe. At this point, 8 officers surround Brooks, some just watching. At 9:26, the officer that shoves something in Brooks's mouth can be seen stomping on him. 3 other officers then hold Brooks down as one officer punches him again. Seconds after taking his foot off Brooks, this officer punches Brooks in the rear 3 times. An officer then comes in with leg restraints. Brooks's pants are then stripped off his body. By this point, more than a dozen members of law enforcement are there. Many watching, some seen smiling.
Okay, so we just watched clips of the video of what happened. We'll play more clips as we talk about this and go along. Because there is no audio, and I want to touch on that real quick. There is no audio because when you are wearing your body cam and you have it on, it's constantly recording. It will only record audio if you actually hit the button to make it activate and turn on. So just because the camera's on, there is no audio. You have to physically hit the button to turn the audio on, and then it can rewind 30 seconds to a minute back, and it'll pick up video, but the audio never will kick on until you actually physically turn it on. So, and I do want to touch on this, is that all of the correctional officers that are in this video, they all have body cams on. There's, I think, 8 different body cam angles of this incident. Not a single one of those deputies or correctional officers had their body cameras activated.
Wow.
So that's why, if anyone's wondering why there's no audio, that's why. So they're able to go back and actually get the video footage from the server, because that camera is always recording when it's turned on. But there's no audio because none of them actually activated their body cams.
So this is actually news to me, and you talked to me about this earlier. I was under the belief that your camera was on and it was recording, but every 30 seconds it would re-record over itself until you activated that, and then it would back up 30 seconds. I actually have no idea.
No, so yeah,
you're continuously recording.
These things are continuously recording, and they're not actually capturing any audio until you physically turn it on. So there are some people that were asking why there's no audio, and that's why. We did have a lot of people message us on social media. They emailed us. We had a ton of people send us the video, and they wanted to know what our opinion is on it. So when you watch the video, what is your first thought?
I'm not okay with any of this. I want that very clear. I'm not okay with this.
Wow.
That should never have happened.
Wow.
But there's a group of people that are not acting differently at all. Like, they're witnessing this beating of a person that is handcuffed, that's laying on an exam table or exam bed, and none of them have any facial expressions. Like, no one's trying to intervene. And I think there's 13 people under investigation for this, and not one person tried to intervene in this. And we're watching the body cameras. No one's intervening.
Yeah, so, okay, here's my take. Taking emotions out of it, the guy's an inmate. It says he's in there for some type of aggravated assault. He's serving a 12-year prison sentence. I don't know why he's taken to the medical exam room. We tried to find it. It doesn't say. Maybe that's because of medical reasons or because it's being investigated.
To beat him. To kill him.
And then I got to thinking, like, I don't think it really even matters. It doesn't matter why the guy's in the medical facility in the first place. It doesn't matter if he attacked a correctional officer. Maybe he was having a medical problem. I have no idea. The point is, and this is where I think the profession of being a police officer is probably one of the most unique professions there is, because
they're guilty.
1 minute you could be using force against somebody, whether that's deadly force, some type of use of force, anything. And the next second you could be applying first aid and trying to save somebody's life who potentially maybe just try to kill you or hurt you. And I think that's where, like, in this job, that's what's so difficult.
But this is not what happened. What happened, he was handcuffed.
We did a podcast a while ago last year with Kathy Greenberg, Dr. Kathy Greenberg, who teaches.
Okay, you off topic. Because see, when they start
making, have a hard time comprehending, or cops have a hard time comprehending. They say, well,
14 cops handcuffed, beat the man to death.
Officer. He might have. But again, it comes back to, like, the unique.
You know what I don't like? Now I'm trying to have patience just to hear him out. But when you start off and you're not even talking about the subject. He's talking about, well, cops one time, they might be beating the next. They might have to say, in this case, this man was handcuffed, serving a 12-year sentence. He's already in jail paying for his crime. He did not murder someone. He's there serving time for what he has done. And in 12 years, he's supposed to be released. He's not supposed to be taken in by 14 cops. Nobody got audio on. That was a setup. That was a setup. All these cops were not, normally, wouldn't they be working? That they would all have different jobs to do? How are 14 of them all together, taking them in there? He's handcuffed. And they just stuff his mouth so people can't hear his screams. And they begin to murder him. They killed him. There's no excuse for what they did to this man. There are none. And the last thing, like, people always try to find some sort of pulling a rabbit out of your behind to try to figure how you're going to serve justice on someone. When they're incarcerated, they're still under your care. You're not supposed to be 14. That's why the governor was there. The governor was there because there's no justification for this. There isn't any.
Part of our job is.
There is. That might work in certain cases, like you're out patrolling and there's a crime being committed, but they have restrained. They've been in New York City. This happened in New York. They've been in New York in Times Square, and you got people shooting at people, immigrants shooting at people, and they arrest them without harm. You got them killing people and they get arrested without harm. This man is incarcerated under their care, and this happens, and they're all of them are just viewing this without any type of remorse, any type of empathy, any type. Wait a minute, y'all, we're just going too far. We're gonna beat him up unjustly, but we're killing him.
Good evening, Essence.
They wanted this man to die.
Yeah.
They took him in there to die. And even when they said his body was lifeless, even when his body was lifeless, they still just dragged, they said, his body around and all of that. Like, these people were horrific. And the reason why they did that to him is because they knew they could get away with it. They know that in this country, regardless of whatever that black man might have been doing, that you literally could get away with killing a black man. And especially if you're an officer. It doesn't matter what he was doing. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And he's already incarcerated and he's handcuffed. He's handcuffed. There's no justification. That's why you have cops talking about it. That's why you have chief of police talking. That's why they're looking at it, talking about how horrific. So you have officers, you have the governor, you have congressmen, you have everyone looking at this, and they can admit, and they are admitting of how gruesome this was, and how these people, 14, how do you have 14 people suffering from insanity? 14 suffering from insanity. The people, even people were standing there watching this. There's supposed to be someone to say, y'all going too far.
Thomas, is it black's job to protect and serve everyone? Or is that police job? Answer that question.
There are our servants. They are public servants. They're supposed to serve us.
This is what caused a divide in the Republican Party.
It does. That's what caused, like, we're for Trump. And Trump got to experience right in New York the same injustices that happen to many black men and black people that are giving extended sentences, double sentences. They take 20, 30 years. They drop it on them like it's nothing, especially when Biden did that 1994 mass incarceration bill that he did, that he was the author of it. So they, you have people, there was a guy that just got out 30 years, didn't commit the crime. But they don't care as long as they get that slave labor. It's slave labor when you're in prison. And that's another form of slavery. They're like, okay, we can't have legal slavery. We'll just lock them up. And we'll get the slavery done in prison. But anytime that you are allowed to, because you have a badge that you're above the law. And I'm not talking about all cops. I don't even want it even to come off like that.
Jason voted for Kamala.
Ain't nobody talking about that. We're talking about bad cops when things like this happens. And what make a bad cop even a worse cop is when you stand around and you see the injustice and you know it's wrong. Because if they got any God in them, you know it's wrong and you do nothing. So you're just as guilty if you're standing there and you're watching someone, act like these people did. That these people were allowed and they all carried it on. And I just can't believe that it was 14 of them. And it was one person a reason. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. How does this happen in 2024? We're getting ready to go into a new year. We need to have this stuff behind us. It's time for Americans to come together, and people need to stand up for what is right. There is a right and wrong. And we all know when something is right, and we all know when something is wrong. We all know it. But it only hits home when it happens to you. When it's your plight, when it happens to you. That's when it's a problem. But if we don't talk about these things as a nation and as people, as Americans, then that's why these things continue. I think Dr. Martin Luther King, like he said, like when you stand around and you watch things happening and you don't use your voice, then you're just as much of the problem. You're part of the problem.
It goes to show you how many people aren't Christian too. To be trying to defend this is like,
you know, people, like he said, like people don't know. People, can somebody still tell me what Biden policies are? Tell me about Kamala policies. I mean, like, this man has talked about his policies until he turned orange. Till he turned orange. I mean, nobody is perfect. Nobody's going along with everything. You got Biden giving away $1 billion, $2 billion, $5 billion, $66 billion. Every day he giving billions and billions and billions to Ukraine. He making Zelensky rich. You know, every day they're doing everything for everyone else except for American citizens. We got to, like, for us to come together as a nation, we got to do what's right. We got to be as one. Because we got bigger things and bigger problems that's heading our way, especially when Holman tried to take and try to deport the illegal immigrants. All hell gonna break loose. You got all the Democrats, they already like, they're gonna fight. We got the Black Caucus.
oh, wait, Jason looked some stuff up. Now he's listing things.
Oh, great. Okay.
No.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Then, yeah, I'm glad that because Bidenomics didn't work for me. So all that is just fluff. That's what you're saying is fluff. Because this country has been destroyed. I have never seen the two worst freaking candidates in the history of America just got through running. That was Knucklehead, Tampon Tim, and Kamala Harris. They were the worst.
How's your grocery store prices, Jason?
Oh, he a millionaire.
Your gas prices.
He like men in he like men in girls' bathrooms. He must have some daughters or something. He like the men going in there. He like men and women's sports. I don't know. Maybe he's for abortion. You know, that because they ran on abortion. They opened up the borders. It's not even about people. It's the way people came in. You want migrants in, but it's how they came in. This country can't sustain and take care of 14 million people. We can't even afford it. We are broke. Okay. News flash. This is the breaking news. The United States is broke. We're broke. We're trillions of dollars in debt.
And these are people thinking on a different level. These are people that are setting people on fire that's in this country now. But our criminals here don't do that. Don't set people on fire.
You know, the things that are going on, and we haven't seen anything yet. Because they have organized, because this administration allowed them to come into our country and allowed them to flood in here, not vetting people. So we have something of everything. They already got some of the numbers. They got 2 million gotaways, so you don't know what they are or who they are. But they can tell you 13,000 murderers came in, 15,000 rapists. They can tell you 350 terrorists. They can tell you that part they know. And all these Venezuelan gangs, they can tell you that's what they did for this country. And guess what? It's going to be under Trump's watch now to clean it all up. Because they fighting him now. They said, look, we want to get the criminals out. Oh, we don't want the criminals. We'll go to jail for the criminals. Oh, yeah. They're going to go, the mayors and governors, we'll go to jail. Go to jail. Go to jail for them. Because you're not doing a damn thing for us. You know, they're not doing anything for us. My life did not improve with this administration. But I could see the effects of it. I could see when I go to the market, eggs are like, when I went to market, eggs are like $5. $5 for eggs. I mean, this is crazy.
Someone said you should work at Fox News.
Huh?
Someone said you should work at Fox News.
They need to give me a job. I have a degree in communications. So anyway, but I did get hired at KYW. So anyway, it's just unbelievable the things that are going on. But the whole point is that you have to speak up. What happened to that man, that these cops, like I'm saying, they felt so emboldened that they felt that they could go in there and they could kill this man. And how do you go home that night with your family? This is a new year coming. How do you go home? This is right. It happened December the 9th. It happened right before Christmas. How do you go home and with your children after you know what you just did? That was God's child. That was a human being. They had no right to do what they did. We have a justice system. That's what we have here. And it seems like the justice system is breaking more laws than everyone else. Just like the open border and people coming in this country illegally. Do you understand they broke the law? They're not even holding up to the law that they want us to follow. Like if you go in the store, you do something, you're supposed to be, you're going to be convicted if you did something that was wrong. How are they doing these things? And people act like they're not supposed to be convicted. And right now, our system, we are broke. The United States is broke. And every day Biden is just trying to trash this country. He's giving out $1 billion. You get $1 billion. You get $1 billion. You get $1 billion. You get $66 billion. Let's sell the wall pennies on the dollar. You know, prices aren't going to come down the way that we want them to, no matter what Trump does. But what he's probably going to try to do is stabilize it. That inflation doesn't continue to rise. You know, because so much damage has been done. It's so much that he needs to do to straighten out this country. The first thing he had to do is gain the respect of the rest of the world, because they were looking at us like we were crazy with the leadership. We got a president that's a sitting president. What we're going through, he is the president, people. Biden is the president and Kamala is the vice president. They are in office. They are in office. We should be demanding more from them. But nobody has said anything about Biden dementia. They talking about he's been 40% of his presidency, he's been on vacation. This is the president of the United States. He's being paid by the American people. He has a duty to perform. These people are MIA on every occasion. You don't even hear from them. And right now, Biden is just signing everything, doing everything, trying to prevent Trump from even having a successful presidency. They sabotaging him. How many more days they got left? You know, they're trying to take every day they have left to sabotage his presidency, to put things in place that he can't remove or can't do anything about. So there's a lot that we want from him. And he was the best candidate. That's why God saw fit for him to be president, because we were drowning. This country is drowning. And unless you are from another part of the world, this administration don't care about you. They don't care about American citizens. This administration, nothing has been about American citizens.
They sure care about Ukraine, though.
They care about everyone else except for this country. They don't care. They allow China to fly a balloon, get all our intelligence, just fly through, just get everything. They had all these drones flying around. They still haven't given us answers. We had a president that had 2 assassination attempts. You got the Secret Service, Homeland Security, FBI. They still haven't given us what we have a right to know, like what happened. Technically 3 attempts on his life. They stopped that one in California as well that they don't talk about. But that we have a right to know what's going on. And we haven't gotten any answers. But this administration has been able to do whatever they want to do. But Americans have not been their objective. If you're an American citizen, this has not been their objective, is to do stuff for us. Because if they spent more time with trying to take all those billions, what they spent $507 million, I believe, last year on illegal immigrants. Imagine taking all these billions that are being spent and they threw away $1 trillion. I think Rand Paul had the report. They threw away $1 trillion. Wasteful spending is what they did. $1 trillion. You know, if they invest in this country like they should and invest in the people that are here, then that would make it better for us. Like all the people that are still homeless, that are Americans, they shouldn't be. Why are they homeless? This administration, why are they homeless? Why are they homeless under this administration? If they could fly people in, provide EBT cards for for 14,000, 15,000, give them 20,000 each, put them in hotels. They don't have to pay for nothing. Give them our health care. You know how much it costs to go to a doctor or to be in the hospital for a few days? We're paying for that, but they're not doing it for us. This is what I see. You don't need news for this. You could go down any city streets and see homeless Americans on the street. They're on the street. You can see that. You can see it every day. They're not getting the care.
Yeah,
God bless you too. Yeah, Jesus Christ is King. That's right. Jesus is Lord and Christ is King.
But Kamala didn't like that.
Yeah, she didn't want to hear that. But they have not been putting America first. And that's a fact. They're not putting America first. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe so it could go out to the algorithm. That we do appreciate it. Like, I know we came on pretty late, but this story, like, I didn't want to do it tomorrow because that's the last day of the new year. But it needs to be said. Yeah.
Do you know what happened in terms of some type of punishment that happened to the cops after this?
Well, what happened to the cops right now, they have been fired, to my understanding, but firing them is not enough.
Yeah.
Like when you kill someone and murder someone, no one's a threat to you if they're handcuffed and you got 14 cops surrounding you. So you can't say that you were scared for your life. Your life wasn't in danger. The only person's life was in danger was Robert Brooks. His life was in danger. That's who. Talk. I want to find an activist.
Yeah. So you can't say that they were fearing for their lives or they felt in danger because dude was handcuffed. And I was surprised that he didn't even try to even hit them with them touching.
He couldn't do anything with all of them. They was kicking him in the back from behind, and
I know, but
they beat him to death.
If that was me, I would have been getting up and hit my body at them.
He couldn't do anything. He was handcuffed to the table, but he was handcuffed. Crap. He couldn't move. You can't move when there's 14 cops out there. There's nothing that you can do to protect yourself. He couldn't, it was nothing he could do. What can he do to protect himself? There's nothing he could do. You got 14 cops.
All right, and there is some breaking news tonight that a Chinese state-sponsored hacker.
I don't know why that's coming on. I'm trying to, this remote, it's these batteries.
We work to give you the latest after Robert Brooks, an inmate at Marcy Correctional Facility in Oneida County, died following a brutal beating by correctional officers. We're now learning that the FBI and the DOJ are both investigating that death. We do want to warn you that what you're about to see is graphic and disturbing. A spokesperson for the FBI's field office in Albany says they are reviewing the facts and the circumstances surrounding the death of Brooks in order to determine the best federal response. They declined to reveal any other details, but they do say their review is ongoing. Meanwhile, Governor Kathy Hochul paid a visit to that facility today, demanding more answers following Brooks's death. She also announced immediate corrective actions. They include naming Benny Thorpe as the new permanent superintendent at that facility. Also, more than $400 million investing in purchasing and fixing body-worn cameras across all facilities, and hiring more staff to investigate and manage complaints in a timely manner. Now, in wake of the investigation, rallies calling for accountability were held all across the state, including right here in Albany today. CBS 6's Emma Quinn joins us live in the studio. Emma, you were at that rally today. Tell us what you saw and heard.
Well, Greg, dozens gathered outside the governor's mansion this morning, calling for the Marcy Correctional Facility to be shut down and for action to be taken against the corrections officers involved in Brooks' death. For those I spoke with, what happened to Robert Brooks is personal. Dozens gathered outside the governor's mansion Monday morning, calling for accountability into the beating death of Marcy Corrections inmate Robert Brooks.
When is it going to end?
Albany resident Debbie says her son Shaheem was transferred to Marcy Correctional Facility in August. She says she hasn't been able to speak with him for months.
I feel ripped until I can have someone say to me, my son is okay.
I'm not gonna feel all the way there. That's what goes through any parent that has a child that's in that jail.
For those who've been behind bars, they call the video traumatizing. Lanique Taylor and Michael Capers are both formerly incarcerated. They say the release of the body camera video is almost a relief.
Because oftentimes that abuse happens and it doesn't ever get out. And there's times where like you're locked in your cell, you hear the screams of inmate, you hear them calling for help. And for individuals who have experienced incarceration, this is everyday life. I also feel relief that this incident was captured for the world to see, so accountability can ensue.
Many are calling for charges against the corrections officers involved in Brooks' death. Debbie wants to see more.
To close that. If all those people were standing there witnessing that, what else do they witness? And they let it go.
Former inmates want the public to remember while they're serving time, they're human too.
Felony does not override my humanity, and my placement in a correctional facility does not negate the fact that I have rights and I'm a human being.
That's right. Now many are calling for changes so these corrections officers cannot retire before the conclusion of any of these investigations.
So, this stuff needs to stop. It needs to stop. That's what the problem is. This stuff really needs to stop. And it's going to take us to stop it. We have to allow our voices to be heard. But I'm really happy that, it's rarely that you'll see the governor respond and you see officers responding. It's like this is really gaining momentum. Like this is just enough is enough. When is it going to be, that people are going to realize if you do these things, then you're going to be held accountable. You're going to do time. They need to, every last one of them need to do time for murder. Every last one of them. Every last one of them should be charged with murder. Every last one of them. They didn't care. They had their cameras. What are they?
Body cam?
They had their body cams on. That's how emboldened they were. They had their body cams on. So they're doing this with body cameras. They're kicking the man in the back. They're beating him. They beat him to death. And they stuff something in his mouth to try to muffle out his screams and stuff. When you're being beaten to death, it's probably, I don't know, it's probably tear jerking. It's probably so intense, to go through that. And it was nothing. He knew he was dying. He knew they were going to, when you know that you're dying, somebody's killing you, and there's nothing he could do about it but wait for it to be over and just go into Jesus' arms. Only thing he could do at that point was just pray for his soul and spirit. That's all he could do was to pray for his soul and spirit. And just, if he didn't give his life to Christ, hopefully he had time to give his life to Christ, because he wasn't going to make it out alive. But God is a God of justice, and something has to be done about what happened. And this is not going to be swept under the rug, because we don't need to enter into 2025 with these same allowances. People are being held accountable for their actions. They need to be held accountable. If you don't hold people accountable, when people feel like they're above the law, we want our officers. We appreciate our cops. But it's when you see stuff like this that's allowed to happen over and over and over again to a certain group of people, then there's something wrong with that picture, and something needs to be done about it. Because we don't need, it's always these Robert Brooks. There's always another one. There's one after this one. There's one before this one. We need to do something about protecting citizens, because even though they're incarcerated, they're still citizens. Even though they're incarcerated, they're still human. Even though they're incarcerated, the laws are still supposed to work for them. You're serving time. That don't mean that they have a right that they can just go and murder this guy.
They're still supposed to protect and serve.
They're still supposed to protect and serve, but they think that it's a black man.
Yeah.
It's a black man. And there's like it's like you are allowed to. It's like an unspoken word that this is allowed.
Yeah. You know,
but they never do that to a white man.
That's what I was saying.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Regardless of what he did, this was not something that any cop should be doing to an American citizen.
And he already been tried for his crime. It's not that they have a right to kill him because they wanted to.
And 14 of them to beat him to a bloody pulp and take his life. Come on now. Like, how... This has to be something where you have to just draw the line at and look at this from a perspective of that's an American citizen, and what if that was you? What if that was you? What if that was your son? What if that was your nephew? Like, but
your brother,
your
cousin, your son,
your uncle, like so.
See, when it hits home, it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
What if they had you like that?
What are you doing, Mom? You're kind of just standing here.
The people would not. There's some people in prison that haven't done a crime and they're locked up. You know, there's innocent people in prison as well. And even if they did do a crime, they're in prison because they did something that was criminal. But just because you're in prison, you're paying the price. That's what prison is. So if you're paying the price. So that don't mean you go in there and 14 police officers or prison guards can just take you. Nobody had a conscience. They didn't just 14 people. That was set up to meet that time to get that guy. That didn't just happen. That was intentional. That was arranged. That was thought out. Now, usually you'll see 2 or 3 cops. They got a guy and they murder him or something like this. Is 14. 14. How did 14 of them get together? They all on the same tour? Everybody got different tour times. How all of them, they all worked in the office together and got together? You know, this was planned out to do this to him. And so they were above the law. And the governor is not going for it. The DA's not going for it. The other cops are watching this. Chief of police are watching this. If you go online, they're all watching this and they just can't believe it themselves. They can't even you can't justify this. There's no justification.
Well, there's a difference between, bad cops and good cops. I have respect and love for the police force. But there's bad cops out there who are pieces of shit and need to be in jail.
They need to be in jail.
Such as these officers.
They just haven't been arrested. Like, these need to be arrested. Just because you're an officer, that don't mean that you don't do criminal things. That don't mean that you're above the law. They're not above the law. They're a public service. They're there to serve us. So what they should do, what they need to do, not just firing them is not enough. What they need to do is lock them up. Lock them up. They deserve to be locked up. They killed someone.
And to the guy who said that we're blaming the police as always, I actually wanted to be a police officer and wanted that to be my career and my job. I wanted to serve the people and help the community. We're not on here blaming police. We're calling out the bullshit and the disgusting actions that they're doing.
And you're supposed to. It's like people want you to put your head in the sand. We're calling out what happened. What happened happened. That's facts. This is called speak the truth. We're not going to sugarcoat it. You can agree to disagree, but the facts are the facts. The facts are the facts. There's no justification for their answers. There's no justification for what they did. There aren't any. They did it because they felt as though they could get away with it. Because how many times have cops gotten away with this when it comes to a black man? This is the truth. The truth. But they can restrain. I've seen shows that guys have machetes swinging at white guys or have rifles and guns, and the cops don't take them down. They talk them out of it. They know how they can show restraint.
Look at what they did to Dylan Roof. Took him to McDonald's or
yeah, Dylan. Yeah, he went in church and killed like 10, 12 black people, and then afterwards they took him to McDonald's. We see this all the time, but it doesn't make it right. And then we don't speak up about it, and then we don't say anything about it, then it continues. But people have to get to the point, and if you really look online, there are activists that are all different races that are out there. So it's not just like a black issue. There are white people, Asian, Italian, Jewish. There are all types of people that feel some type of way about this, because you have to get to a point in your life that you see things and then you have to say, this is wrong. It's not right. Why did this happen? What can I do to make a difference? Because everyone has a voice. Your voice makes a difference. Who you vote for make a difference. And when people are doing something unrighteous, you're supposed to call it out. If it's unrighteous, you call it out. What they did was unrighteous. It was wickedness. What they did was evil. It was demonic. That was a demonic spirit. That was demonic. Only the devil can act like that. It was demonic. There was no, they were not human. The people that carry out that act. And they expected no repercussions from it. So they're surprised. They didn't expect any repercussions. They didn't expect this for people to have a problem with them killing this black man.
They were so bold, they kept their cameras on.
They kept their cameras on. They took the sound out so you couldn't hear his screams. They didn't want everybody to hear, because if you heard the screams, it probably would go right through you, no matter who you are.
And so you could hear how hard those punches
and how hard they was hitting him, and the punches. They were probably breaking his back, his bones. They did a job, and they didn't stop until they killed him. They didn't stop until he was dead. And even after he was dead, they said they drugged his body around.
Oh, I saw that video.
Even after he was dead. They had no respect for life at all. None. But they felt that they could leave their body cams on, this be brushed to the side, and they would go on with their lives. How many of them have done this already? For them to have been so heartless, so emotionless, so devilish, that this was nothing new for them. This is something that they've been able to do because they didn't feel as though that they would be held responsible for it, or they wouldn't have done it. But they all need to go to jail. They need to all go to jail. They need to all go to jail because it's wrong. It's wrong. And it's been happening forever to black men and to black people, and it needs to stop. Too many black men or black people are arrested without weapons, without any threat, and they wind up dead. This man is handcuffed. How many times have people been handcuffed and they shoot them, and they somehow justify that they handcuff and they shoot them? Oh, my gun went off, but you shot him over here, and this was how did that happen? So all this is going to stop in 2025.
Exactly what Jason said.
What did Jason read?
Someone said he tried to take a life himself, and Jason said the man was serving his time for the crimes he's committed. That's how our justice system works.
That's how it works.
The cops don't get to choose who lives and who dies.
That's right.
Exactly. That's spot on, Jason.
That's exactly it. And that's the whole point of all this. They're not the judge and jury. He's already been sentenced for his crime. And this happens to people who aren't criminals. Let's just be clear with that. This happens to everyday black people that work every day, law-abiding citizens, and they could have a traffic stop, and that could end it all. So, but this needs to stop. And that's why we're talking about it. That's why we're speaking up about it. And that's why these men need to all go to jail. There is no justice, no peace. They have to go to jail. They are criminals. The same people that they're supposed to lock up, they need to be locked up. They need to be locked up. They are unfit for duty. And they make cops, they give cops a bad name when there's so many phenomenal cops that are here protecting people, that are looking out for everyday citizens, that are, that they are just, you're happy when you see a cop because they, they're supposed to make you feel safe. They're working for you. You shouldn't feel threatened by a cop when he's a public servant. He's there to serve you. And they're not there to carry out their own justice or what perceived justice. They weren't even carrying out justice. The man already was sentenced. But they knew that they could do it. Anytime you're going to leave, they all left on their cameras, but they turned off the audio. Because if we heard the audio, we would hear how vicious and how brutal, because just watching it is difficult. It's difficult. And that's why people have a problem with cops when you have cops like that, like those cops. They make it bad for all cops because then you don't want to trust cops. What?
Read that.
What? Well, you know what? They shouldn't do it, whether you white, black, Indian, Native American, Indian chief. That shouldn't happen to anyone. It's not right. The whole point is not right. What we're saying, it happened more to black people, black men than any other race. That's a fact. But it shouldn't happen to anyone.
Block that guy.
What did he say? Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe, you guys. Hit the like, share, and subscribe, and comment. Like, we try to build a channel, trying to come on like Mondays and at least 3 times a week. I'm looking at Monday, Wednesday, maybe Saturday.
This guy.
What? And the thing about it, and that's something that that only comes from white people. Yeah. When they say, don't do it, let me hear. That it only comes from white people. Every time somebody has, misconduct, it's always excused and blamed on the other person. Like, you get pulled over, you are cooperating. All black people know you have to cooperate. They're going to be the nicest, the most cooperative that they can be, and that still doesn't save their lives. It still doesn't work at times. So we're not getting there and getting in a cop face because we know that there are 2 laws. There's laws for them and there's laws for us, because we see the repercussions of this supposedly justice system.
That reminds me of the guy who had a licensed gun and the cop pulled him over and he was explaining and telling the cop, I have a legal gun, I have a legal weapon, I'm going to slowly take this out and put this down or something like that. And the cop still shot him.
That's what they do, still kill him. And without a gun, they kill him. Yeah. And that was because still, he was a union worker. His daughter and his wife was in the car and they killed him. Right in front of this child. They don't care. Because they don't think that black families bleed or black families mourn or we love each other just like you love your own. So it's a disconnect from the human race.
And they got that young boy, I think his name was Tamir. They thought he had a gun.
He was Tamir Rice.
Yeah, he was like 12 years old.
That's what they do because they don't value our life, but see, God does. And it's just this stuff needs to stop. It needs to stop. This guy had his day in court. He had his day in court. He was charged and he was serving his time. So justice was already carried. These men felt like they did. They set it up. They planned that. They're like, yeah, we're going to meet at such and such time and we're going to grab him and we're going to go in there and we're going to take him. They said like 4 or 5 inmates, they were in their cells. They heard him. They heard it. They couldn't help him. You know, they said, this is what we're going to do. When 14 people come together like that, that was planned. That wasn't like they, oops, I just came in the room. No, they planned, every last one of them planned on being there and planned on doing what they did to him. And they knew he wasn't going to leave there alive. They hit him with everything, with every kind of force, with everything. They knew he was dead on arrival. When they took him in there, he was not, those was his last moment of life that they stole from him. He was doing a 12-year sentence. He wasn't doing a life sentence. And they took his life because they knew they could. They knew they could. And most of the time, they get away with all that evil. And that's what it's evil. It's wickedness. Y'all got to call evil evil when it is, and wickedness wickedness. That was evil. That was demonic. People got demonic spirits on them. You know, for them to stand there and no compassion, no mercy, no nothing.
Al left a great comment. He said, there is evildoers in all organizations, and unfortunately, some get protected by the organizations that were created to serve and protect the people.
What was he? Okay, and
yeah, but you know, one time when I was in high school, so I'm like 14, 15, I'm walking home from school and I take the back route to get home because I just felt like taking that route that day. I'm just walking.
You live in the suburbs.
Suburbs, nice neighborhood, beautiful.
You
live in the neighborhood, still live in it. And I'm walking, go lucky, walking while I'm like hopping while walking. And I turn around and there's a police officer following me in his car. You know, that says everything that needs to be said without me further explaining that. The discrimination and the life as a Black person, when, especially a Black man, when you're around police officers. But luckily, the neighborhood I live in, we have a really good police force, and I have respect for them. But that's just a time when I was in high school that I never forgot. I still remember. Scared me. That dude could have got out, could have turned out very differently than what happened. So thank God I'm still here and survived that, because that wasn't, especially I was a kid too, like that's something that shouldn't even be thought of happening. But you know, that's how it can be as a Black person in the United States of America. So, but yeah, I don't know how people can get on here and try to defend the cops.
The cops aren't even defending these cops.
Yeah, the cops aren't, lawyers aren't. So I don't know how you can get on here and try to defend and take up for this demonic action that was committed.
But you got to call it for what it is. And that's what we haven't been doing. When we see these type of acts, a lot of times we don't call it for what it is. That was demonic. That was wickedness. That was evil that happened. They had a demonic spirit. Anytime that you could go in and 14 people, like if I was in a room with 14 people, I'm not thinking like you. I'm my own person. I'm thinking my own thoughts. For 14 people to come around and all of y'all are on one accord, they had a mission to do. And that was to take his life. They didn't just stumble into the room. That was set up to do that to him. He probably was an example for other prisoners. He might have been someone that he kept saying, like, I'm telling them, you can't do this to me. That's all you have to say. All he had to do is say, you can't do this. And they probably say, oh yeah. Of course, they're going to disrespect him, maybe call him boy. Yeah, you can't tell us what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do with you. We're going to show you. He probably told them that you can't harm me or whatever the case. And they made him an example to show him and to show the rest of the prisoners, this is what we can do to you as well. Because sometimes people are used as an example. And he might have been an example. And the guy probably was telling them, that, you know, I'm gonna report y'all, y'all can't get, because they were doing a lot of other heinous things to these prisoners. And there already was complaint, and a lot of them, some of those officers were already brought up on charges.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jason says, Cindy, when you call this demonic, you're taking the ownership off the folks that did it. I don't think that's the way to think about this.
Yeah, well, what I'm calling is their spirit. There's a such thing as a devil, and to have that kind of coldness, I'm just talking about how cold that they had to be, how heartless they had to be, how unloving, uncaring you had to be to carry out that. And it's just surprising to me that 14 people could come together and they all have that same spirit. You know, they had a freaking death spirit. And these people, it was like they had no, it was no human in them. You know, because how do you do something like that and you go home that night and there's no remorse? Did you go home? These people went home probably to families. They probably had children. They might have little children. And you're going home to your kids after you did something as heinous as what they did. It was so bad that the governor had to get involved. She had to go to Morrissey's correctional center. She had to go. The DA had to go. All these people are involved. That's how horrific this crime is. You know, and it's just unbelievable. What I'm saying is that they were wicked. They most definitely were wicked. They were wicked and they were evil people. And those type of people, they don't need to have power over others. They were put in a position of power, and they look how reckless they used it. They felt as though that with their power that was given to them because they were officers, that they could do what they did.
Virtual, what are you talking about?
What? And who she's talking about? I'm talking about Robert Brooks. What happened to Robert Brooks?
I was talking about him.
No, they said, what is she talking about? It's about Robert Brooks. At least she doesn't curse. If black cops, see, people, like, I don't know what's wrong with your virtual being thinking. If black cops or people commit those crimes, it's not evil. I mean, make that make sense. I don't care if you purple. I don't care if you're pink. I don't care what you are. It's not about color. If it's black cops do this crap as well. It might have been some black cops. Because some black cops, because they wear that blue, they want to fit in with the other white cops. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's better to have the white cop than the black cop, especially if you're a black person. Just because the black cop, that don't mean your help has come. That means they're going to be harder on you than the white cops. They want to prove to white cops, yeah, let's get them, boss. You know, the black cop is the worst ones for black people. So no, it doesn't matter if it was a black cop, and they were all black that did that. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's all wrong. It doesn't matter what color they were. It was hideous. It was wrong. And black people do stuff. You have black cops do stuff. And they the last ones to say, if I was in trouble there, I want to look. As soon as I see them, I'm like, oh no, it's over with. I don't want to see no black cop. They're worse because they got to prove something. Mm-hmm. They got to prove, just because they black, that don't mean I'm going to help them. They got to prove something to their white partner. Wow. No, I don't want a black cop. I already had 2 white cops, then they had the black cop.
Never?
He crazy.
Never?
What?
The cop who was...
I don't know what that is.
The one...
Okay, I saw it. Yeah, so no, it does. My whole point is that in circumstances when there's injustice, it's not about the color, it's about the injustice that was committed. That's what it's about. And no one is above the law. Like, remember they kept saying Trump is not above the law? Not even the president of the United States was above the law. That's why he had to go through it was injustice being done to him, but he still had to sit through a trial. He was supposedly found guilty. So, they're not above the law. and what they did is wrong, and it doesn't matter what color they
Oh,
are.
now Jessica's talking about Trump.
What she said?
She said, "You thinking Trump will do anything for anyone but rich white people?" Hilarious.
You know what? It's so brainwashed out here. I'm so tired of that. Everybody that ran on the Democratic side, they were all millionaires and billionaires. Everyone that supported them. Count all the stars and put all their money together. How many billionaires and multimillionaires were they? They had way more money than Trump. They had Cuban. They had Bill Gates. She raised $1 billion. Who raised $1 billion and $1.5 billion in 3 months? The money is with the Democrats. It's not with. It most definitely wasn't with the Republicans. Everybody keep talking about Trump. He didn't have all those donors. He spent $382 million in his whole campaign, and Kamala in 3 months spent $1.5 billion, and that wasn't. And that didn't include the money that was spent with Biden for a campaign and prior to them, doing the coup and pushing his behind out. So I always keep talking this stuff about, the money is with the Democrats. I think I saw Beyonce. What did she got paid? What, $10 million to lie to everybody to vote for Democrats? How much did Oprah get? 2.5. She a billionaire. Beyonce's a billionaire. How much? Look how they got paid.
How much you think John Legend got?
Yeah, John Legend got paid. Megan Thee Stallion, what she got? All she had to do is shake her butt. She got $3 million. Cardi B got paid. Usher got paid. All these people got paid. What? Roland Martin got paid. He got $350,000. And let's not forget Al Sharpton. He got a cool $500,000. So they the ones with the money. All right. Yeah, Trump, he raised his money through donors, like everyday people like us. That's how he received his donations. He didn't have all those billionaires and millionaires supporting him. Who can raise and spend $1.5 billion in 3 months? 3 months. Y'all, and that's who y'all wanted to run this government. 3 months. And let's not forget, and then $20 million in debt. So I think she needs your help. So you need to send her some money. $20 million in debt. And right now, he got his money from. It doesn't matter because y'all be like off topic. It's like I used to be like y'all. I used to listen only to MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS. That's all I listened to. The last election, I helped put Biden in office, literally. I canvassed, I held rallies at Independence Mall. I canvassed phones. I went out there. I spoke in different settings or whatever for different people that were supporting him. We did door to door. I did it all. And I met him, gave him a gift from the city and everything. Well, I've been around him a few times. Different functions, President Biden, and different congressional leaders or whatever.
Jason and Virtual are like Kamala's biggest fans.
But not this time. Not this time. I didn't sign up for an open border. I didn't sign up for 2 wars. I didn't sign up for illegal immigration. I didn't know this was the plan. I thought they was going to make America better. I thought they were going to do something for the American people.
Wasn't there an act that they promised?
They promised black people they're going to do the anti-crime bill. They were going to do the George Floyd bill, the Lewis bill, John Lewis bill. They didn't do nothing. They didn't do a damn thing. And then they came around this election and Kamala became black and everybody got into identity politics, and then abortion became a woman's right. Not that we need to feed our kids, not that we want guys out of girls' locker rooms and all that. That didn't matter. Inflation didn't matter. Economy didn't matter.
Angela said Kamala is still trying to sober up.
Yeah, and then when she shows herself, she can't even, she's still talking about, I like to be unburdened by the burden. Her word salad, and she's supposed to talk to Putin. They would have just, the rest of the world leaders, President Xi, these people, see, the United States, we be focused on us. We're not looking at the world. Putin and them would have stomped her. Yeah. They would have crushed her. She's not a leader. She's weak. They got
mad respect for Trump.
They got mad respect for him, and that's what we got when we got Trump. We got respect back. They respect him, and they all lined up. As soon as they know, and Trump is like the president now. Everybody looking at Trump like they were looking at Trump ever since he started running like he's still the president. Yeah. Even Kamala and Biden, they president, vice president, they looking at Trump, talking about Trump policy, Trump this, and they're in office. This was the craziest thing, that they are in office, but they look at Trump. They're in office now. But everybody talk about Trump. He's not in office.
Yeah, it was funny. Once Trump won, he said he was talking to world leaders.
Like 70 world leaders reached out to him immediately once he won. You know, at least he wanted. One thing about Trump, he's about putting America first. And if you're an American citizen and you got a problem with that, then, you know, something is wrong with that picture. There's no way that you're an American citizen and you don't want a president that wants to put you first. Okay? You should want a president that's going to look out for your well-being. Before you do, just like your family, before you help someone else, you want to help your own family. You want to help if your family member don't have a place to live and you're going to go out there and you're going to put somebody else in your house when your family member doesn't have anywhere to live, that's what the United States did to our homeless. We put somebody else in the house while your relative is out on the street. That's what we did. So I want him to put America first. And we should be, all the other countries, don't they put their citizens first?
Like, what happened when Biden moved out the way when all the leaders were standing there? He stood off to the side.
They don't even respect Biden was walking into the freaking rainforest. And they took world picture. You had the Chinese leader. He's standing where the United States president, but we're supposed to be the big dogs on campus. And they took the picture and they laughing Biden behind a palm tree somewhere. They was like, "What, aren't y'all going to wait for the president of the United States?" They were laughing. They didn't care. The world are laughing at the United States. You know, laughing at us. And Trump is like, "Oh, heck no." And he doesn't get paid for this neither. He's not getting paid. Can y'all hit the likes button, please? We got still 109 people on here. That help, it goes out to the algorithm. It really supports the channel. But there's things that we don't need to carry into the new year. And I think that we need to have a different perspective.
TC, my mom got a BMW. What your mom got, bruh? Man.
Well, anyway, in a single home. And yeah, I got a lot of stuff. Yeah. That's paid for. Don't do no notes. So anyway, it's like you have to really look at what's affecting your neighbors and affecting other people. And when you do right, you want better next year, then you need to do right by people. You need to stand on business, stand on principle, and have, you know, the wherewithal to speak up and to acknowledge when you need a positive change. And being a former Democrat, I don't understand why I'm going with who's the best candidate, who's the best person for the job, who's going to lead this country in the right direction, because this country wasn't being led at all. Because if you think Biden was leading this country in a great way in Kamala, then I question your sanity. You know, because they weren't. They were not, yeah. They were not doing a good job for American people. They were not doing a good job. And when Trump was in office, the economy was way better. Black employment was skyrocketing. And they just did a thing now that, like, the jobs and stuff that are being given is some of them, they're not even going to American citizens.
I guess the assassin's a cold case now.
Yeah, what
Thomas Crooks.
Yeah, Thomas Crooks. We got all this intelligence and we still don't know anything about his name is Thomas Crooks. And that doesn't make any sense. So it's a lot of cover-ups that's been going on. American people are not getting the information that we should be getting. But we just want to make sure that that the truth is out. That's why this channel is so important. It's called Speak the Truth, and it's called that for a reason, because nothing's going to be sugar-coated. You know, you could agree or just, you might not like the topic, whatever, but nobody's going to just sugarcoat anything. Or this is not about, let's say, what they want to hear. or they might get offended, or they don't want to hear it. You know, a lot of times when you speak the truth, people don't want to hear the truth. When you tell people things that should be done right, they don't want to hear that. People, you know, are more interested in the wrong things. But that needs to change. And, you know, and we need to come together as a nation. When we see something that's wrong, it's just say it's wrong. Simple as that. Because if we say it's wrong, then people stop doing what they're doing. But this stuff about killing handcuffed black men, that need to stop. All that police brutality against black people, it needs to stop. Because you got restraint for the immigrants, and they out here doing things that has never happened into America. When have you seen people being set on fire and just being raped and killed the way that they are? It's different out here. This is a different country. This country might not ever be the same again, because what Biden and Kamala has done to this country, we're going to suffer from years to come. What they have done in 4 years. In 4 years, it took 4 years. They have changed this country forever. Forever. You know, we're supposed to uphold laws, and we got the lawmakers breaking the law. But they want you to uphold the law, but they want to lock up people for not upholding the law, but they should be locked up as well because they have broken the law. Does that make them criminals?
No one uses Facebook anymore, dude.
He said Facebook.
Yeah, he said we spending too much time on Facebook.
Yeah, I haven't been on Facebook in years.
Nobody uses Facebook anymore.
In years. And it's not that, because obviously if you have something substantial to stand on, then you need to stand on it and you need to say something. You have a right to speak up. You could speak up and be wrong. There's no problem with that. We don't discriminate against people who are wrong. We just hope that you are enlightened. This is just to enlighten you. We're just saying that if something is wrong, call it what it is. Don't make excuses for toxic actions, evil actions. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't blame the victim. I'm tired of victims being blamed. They kill them and they get blamed. They dead and they get blamed. You blaming them from dying. It's just so crazy. It's crazy. And it's not right. You know, so we're going to always, whatever we talk a lot about like Trump, because, you know, we're supporters. But we need Trump to take some actions on this, because he has been the only president, even when he did the First Step Act, he's been the only president that has, I think he's done more for black people, like Trump was compared to Abraham Lincoln himself to that. But he truly has. And, you know, and he believes in the justice system, but he knows that it has flaws. And it does have flaws. He can see how it treated him. And that happens to black people every day.
Lose? I think he misspelled lies.
It's okay. You know, but a lot of times people will run from it. And I hope people that have this type of mindset, you know, hopefully you don't have kids yet, because your personalities and your behavior is going to affect them.
Dakota said Biden and Diddy, see the resemblance.
Biden, yeah, he liked them young ones. He always trying to kiss people. I remember I met him. He was looking at me he was like, "Where have you been?" Biden told me, like when he met me, he told me, "Where have you been all my life?" I'm like, okay. But I've been in like different functions with him, like being there. I got a lot of pictures, selfies, and with Obama, all of them.
It's on our channel too, if you want to see.
Yeah, it's on my channel with me. I just put it up there because I got tons of pictures with all the people running for presidents, and, you know, just been at lunches, different places with them. Just as, you know, I have receipts, what I'm talking about. But after I saw these people, this administration, it's just mind blowing to me. I was like totally NBC fan, Rachel Maddow, Joy Reid, all of them.
Yes,
you know, The View, all of them. That's who I was listening to
Yeah, my mom threw away my Trump hat.
Yeah, my son had like Trump. I threw away his Trump hat last election. I was so upset that he's walking around talking about some Trump. I was like, I put that in the trash. Not now. Where the red one at? The other one. Yeah. So not now. You know, now I respect him because what he's doing it for us. Like he said, he's standing in the way. He's not getting any money or any benefits. He doesn't even take a salary. This man is 78 years old, and he's going to be working relentlessly for us to make America better again, make it better. You know, there's always improvement. I don't know if it's ever been great, especially not for Black people, but he can make it better because we were heading in the wrong direction. And I'm here for that. You know, what's been going on, and if these Democrats that's on here, if you're going to tell me what Biden, you thought that Biden was a great president or even a good president? What type of president do you think Biden has been? What type of president has he been?
Kamala being the deciding vote.
And yeah, well, she was like 33 of the deciding votes she cast, and she's like every decision that was made. She said that she was a part of every decision, and Biden said she could make the decision. He probably gave it to her. All this stuff that's been going on. She had her hand in the Ukraine war before it started. She was over there. Charlie Kirk said she was responsible for the Ukraine war, the Afghanistan. Departure, and she was responsible for the border. So those are the three things that she was responsible for, and she did not need to become president because she was weak and she didn't know. Charlie Kirk, there you go. Yeah, he's been like really out there. He's been really speaking up, and he was just naming and rattling off all the things that I didn't even know that she had a meeting or whatever before the Ukraine war and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know she had her hands in that, but she did.
And I liked what he was saying to the Black people who were at his event. He was like, you know, they're here to replace you. Right?
Yeah, Charlie Kirk told him. He was like, you know, they're here to replace you. But some Black people that. But some of us, it take us a while to get the memo. But presidents, they get the job records. They see all the records. Even, your previous presidents, they get all the information. So he could see the decline in Black employment, and he could see the upcline, the incline of the migrants being hired, and he could see the union jobs. He could see all of that. So he knew, and he knows. That's who got you, Charlie Kirk.
The company Tyson fired like all the Americans.
Yeah, Tyson fired 25,000 people. They wanted to hire all immigrants. Yeah, they gave all their people notice. Y'all are out. Yeah, he does. He be spitting facts. Yeah, it's an all-time low, and Black people got offended when Trump, he wasn't talking about like there's jobs that's called a Black job, but he was saying jobs like a lot of jobs like in the construction area. A lot of Black people take those jobs. A lot of Black people might take they work in hotels or different places like that, because you got to understand that sometimes when people even come out of prison and stuff like that, those are the jobs that they're going to. And he could see that like Black jobs are all-time low right now. But when Trump was in office, they were all-time high. So he was making a big difference. So Trump, he does care about the Black community. And I think that's why so many Black men stood with Trump. They wanted a man like him to be in charge.
NC said, Mama, you know what you know. Never back down. Good night.
Who said that?
That's nice, NC.
Who?
NC.
Oh, thank you. That's right. We standing on business. We're standing 10 toes down.
The truth.
And that's why God gave me the name. I couldn't change. My son said, why are you calling it that? I said, no, speak the truth. Because that's what it's about. People can, if you want to hear lies and stuff, you can always watch the news. You can always go watch the news. You can spend your time on your favorite news channels, and they're biased. They feed you what they want. Like they kept calling Trump Hitler. He's deplorable. He's a threat to democracy. All this, and they were a threat to democracy.
If you want some good old propaganda, just watch the news.
That's what they used to. They were the threat to democracy. They were the threat. They were the wolves in sheep clothing. I thought the Democrats were the good guys, but then they don't follow the principles that I live by. And I started looking at that. Okay, I'm not really for abortion. I'm not for men and women sports. I'm not for men and women locker rooms. I'm not for like the way the economy and not putting America first. It's like different things that I'm not for that they were for. So that's why this election, Trump, Trump, Trump. Trump, Trump, Trump. And I felt as though the state that they have, the way they have destroyed this country, that I feel like Trump is the only one because he's not doing it for a paycheck. Biden, now they got pictures of him with President Xi that he said he never met with his son. They have the pictures now. Hi, where you guys from anyway? Everyone, they got pictures of him, and this is what was it? FBI denied that there were pictures, or they hid pictures, or they didn't have the laptop.
Oh, Jason said, wait till you start paying more because of Trump's tariffs. Can't wait to talk to you about the economy.
I can't wait. Look, talk to me about the economy now. I mean, talk to me about the economy now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's amazing when they say they can't wait. They did this mess. You're not talking about the economy. I hope you didn't get rid of them.
I did.
Yeah. Talk about the economy now. Talk about the mess that Trump got to clean up now. Talk about inflation now. Talk about it now. Talk about, like you said, I have no critical thinking skills. Then explain yourself. Talk about, engage with me. Because I want people to talk about it now. Talk about what we've been going through the last 4 years. Talk about now. Talk about the people who are in office presently. Talk about that. Everybody has so much to say about someone that hasn't even taken office.
They saying, you're going to see.
I already got to see this. I got to see this. This is alarming. I got to see this messed up country. The only people that was for this, what's going on, the people that benefited from this administration has been Ukraine, the illegal immigrants, Gaza, Lebanon, not our North Carolina people that's still living in tents. Those are the people that were able to benefit from this administration. If you're American, nothing was in the plan for you. It was nothing about America first. They said, okay, we'll give you Planned Parenthood. You come to our Democratic National Convention and we'll provide abortion for you. That's what they did.
That's why Jason voted for Kamala's abortion.
Yeah. The ones on here, either a lot of times because they for gay rights. and guess what? There's only 2 genders. Just in case the adults on here don't understand that there's only a male and a female. That's it. That's it. Frankenstein cannot make you into a girl, and Frankenstein doctors cannot make you into a boy.
And Kelvin just keeps saying the same thing.
Whatever you was born as is what you are. That's it. That's it. Only God can create humans. Only God can do it. You can't undo what God has done. So they can chop off your parts and make you so that you have to take medication for the rest of your life, however long that might be, but they aren't equipped to do what God has done. I'm talking about culture talking points right now because that's the subject. That's the subject. Did you see the title? I'm talking about it's a part of life. It's a part of life for many American citizens. But many American citizens go through these things. So yes, I'm going to talk about it. That's just the topic. That's the topic. That's the topic. And there's nothing wrong with immigrants or migrants. It's how they came into the country is unsustainable. You can't bring 14 million people. How you got to feed all them? You got to clothe all them. You got to house all of them. What you don't? We're going to have food equities and stuff like that. They need medical care. You don't think that's going to put a strain on our government, and our government is broke? Our government is broke.
But now
We're trillions of dollars in debt. We don't have any money.
But
And we're taking care of people, and some of the people we're taking care of are undesirables.
yeah, but now their new gimmick is having one of their children come over here or themselves come over here and have a kid here, so then they're American citizens.
Yeah, then they say, oh, we're going to bring up it. No, you can leave with your child. You can leave with your child, or if there's an American citizen relative, they can stay with their relative. But you have to come over here the right way. It's unfair to people that have been going through the process for the last like 5, 6, 8 years. And they're doing everything they're supposed to do because they got to take tests. It's a process. All countries have a process. There's no country that has opened up their borders. You imagine they did that over in Europe and they opened their borders and they telling people, come on in, off of the citizens' backs. And the citizens have to pay and take care of these people. They're not doing that in any other country.
Yeah,
I can't go to another country and I could just go. If I go to France somewhere, I can go and they're going to give me a luxury apartment. They're going to give me money to buy all the food for years that I can eat. My family can eat. They're going to provide for me transportation, health care, schools. I don't have to pay for college or anything. Like all these perks to go there, I would go too.
Yeah. Do you want to play Jasmine Crockett on what she said?
What did she say about what?
About the open border. She wants like an open border.
Yeah, we could do that one tomorrow. But you want to do it today about the open border?
Yeah, we can do it today.
Let's see. I'll put it on. Okay, you gotta talk about find her.
Yeah, but that's the thing that we'll see if Trump or what he'll say about this. Sad that happened. You know, these police officers aren't the judge and the jury. He was doing his sentence for his crime. He did not commit a good crime. I'm not going to defend that, but that doesn't give them. But
he was paying the price already for the crime. That
doesn't give them the right to take his life and to give him a brutal murder too.
Yeah,
so,
that was deliberate, intentional, and
I'll look it up.
Yeah, that was brutal. It was intentional. And you don't wish that on anyone. The way that but it was just so amazing that they felt like they could get away with it, because how many times in the United States have people gotten away with those type of crimes? And it's sad that in 2024, we're knocking on the door. Tomorrow's the last day of this year. You know, if you look back, like, what did you accomplish this year? What happened this year? Did you make a difference this year? You know, it's a lot to look back on, but you don't want to go into the new year with all this, old baggage. You need to stand up and speak up for what's right. And that's all I'm saying. That wrong is wrong and right is right. And you need to, make a difference for your family. It doesn't make any sense. Robert Brooke, that had 14 cops. You could even did that protest. Was that? Yeah, this is a whole nother time. I didn't know you want to show the activists. Just show one more activist of what was going on. What? Huh?
I mean, we already covered.
But that's what it's really about. This is like you want to show Crockett about the. Where's she at?
He's down.
See this? Oh, that's us right there. No. Okay. I don't see it.
She's down, but.
Yeah, let's do it tomorrow. And like the people are speaking up, like this one.
Hey, what? Jail killer cops! 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 Solution! Fuck the pigs, we need a revolution! Fuck the pigs, we need a revolution! Killer cops is only one solution! Killer cops is only one solution! Fuck the pigs, we need a revolution! Fuck the pigs, we need a revolution!
There's a lot of people that's protesting about what happened to that man, and it's like I said, it's all different. It's all different types of people, young, old, white, black, Asian. Everyone is coming together because what's wrong is wrong and right is right.
We need to come together. We need to tear the system down and build it in a way that works for us. They keep killing us on camera. They gagged that man.
They gagged him.
They kicked that man. Why the hell are they in jail? What more evidence do you need? Fucking investigation. Those murderers need to be in cuffs. But the power belongs to the people. The more of us who show up, who are unafraid and unapologetically black, that's how we get shit done. Keep fighting and keep moving forward. All power to the people.
You know, it's just bad. You know, people are upset, and rightfully so, that, you know, this guy really went through a lot.
This fool.
What did he say?
He's saying, and the amount of dudes there with tattoos and the Jumpman logo and all the gang members.
What? What?
We're not trying to say all.
It's not even about like gang members. I don't even know why they off. The topic is that someone was unlawfully taken off of this earth by corrupt officers. They were corrupt. They got together. I can't see how 14 people, you can't get 14 people on one page in the normal world, but 14 people came together and they brutalized this man. They killed him. I mean, how wasn't it one sane person out of all of them that no one said that this is too much, enough is enough, or whatever? I mean, they set out to take his life. They didn't stumble on him. This was planned to do it. He was in jail. He was already serving time for a crime that he committed. So justice had already been served. I don't know if they decided that they were going to make him an example, and that's what they did. And they said at this this correctional center that this has happened before, but this is the first time that it's actually been shown on film or whatever. They always, I guess, got rid of the proof of the things that they were doing. But what they did is like unbelievable. All those guards need to go to prison. All of them.
Yeah.
Because like when something's going on, you want at least one person out of the bunch. You need at least one person to say something. You need at least one person to speak up.
You like that video?
Where? You need one person to speak up. Somebody needs to speak up. And that didn't happen. They didn't stop until he was dead. And when he was dead, they dragged his body around. They didn't care. Can we hit some likes, share, and subscribe, please? Don't forget to hit the like buttons. Play the clip. What happened? I don't know if this is the one.
When we allow that to happen, we say that we're okay with the denigration and the devaluation of black life.
Calls for justice today in the shadow of Governor Kathy Hochul's office. Protesters march, signs in hand, demanding action against the officer seen on body camera footage beating upstate New York inmate Robert Brooks.
Seeing a black brother like that, being beat like that, being lynched, that is disturbing.
The video released Friday of the brutal December 9th beating from inside the Marcy Correctional Facility shows officers repeatedly punching, kicking, and dragging handcuffed 43-year-old inmate Robert Brooks. Brooks died a day later.
The justification is not there. You can't hit a suspect that's handcuffed.
Former NYPD investigator Felipe Rodriguez says the video is shocking and there's no excuse for the officer's actions.
Look at this.
It's going to be very difficult for them to justify use of force. Anytime you use, every strike has to be justified. Any discharge of a
Hear
firearm
that?
has to be justified. Otherwise, you know what? You did it incorrectly.
The series of 8 videos
Look
released
at
to the
this.
public playing a pivotal part in the
They
launching
dragged
of an
his body.
investigation by the New
Dear
York
God.
Attorney General's office and calls from Governor Hochul for all 13 officers and a nurse connected to the beating to be terminated.
We will use every possible tool
Terminated. They need to be in
us to
jail.
investigate this death thoroughly and swiftly.
Today, Governor Hochul visited Marcy Correctional Facility seeking answers in Brooks's death and immediately implemented new changes, including naming a new superintendent and expediting $400 million towards new cameras facility-wide. Today, as I stood in the room where Robert Brooks was killed, I was once again heartbroken by this unnecessary loss of life and further sickened to think of the actions of depraved individuals with no regard for human life, said Governor Hochul in a statement. CBS News New York has learned 3 of the 13 guards implicated in the savage beating of Robert Brooks have been accused in lawsuits of earlier attacks in New York prisons. All 14 Marcy staff members have currently been suspended without pay pending the investigation. There have been no formal charges brought against the officers yet. In Manhattan, Alan Devlin,
Murder
CBS
charges.
News.
They better charge them with murder. That's so hideous. It's just unbelievable. It's terrible what happened to him. And no one deserved that. No one. I didn't turn around. Yeah, that's just not cool. None of that's cool. And it's not right. It's just not right. And then we just calling it out because it's not okay. It's not okay. And that's what people did. Whatever he did or whatever happened with his wife, he was in jail for it. He was already convicted. He was already serving time. So that don't give justification for these cops to go in there and to murder him. That's why we have a justice system. He was already criminally charged. He was serving his time, his sentence. He was already serving his sentence. And that's what you do. That's called the justice system. So what they did, they all need to be locked up. They are criminals. They are the criminals. They're the ones that should be locked up. They're not above the law. That was murder. They committed murder. And they all went home to their families. How do you go home and even if they got children and talk to your children? And you still had to have that rage in you. You knew you took the life out of someone. You killed someone that night. Handcuffed. What kind of spirit do you have that you could do that? You know, even a governor is like this is like, you know, it was no humanity in them. There was, these people had a dead spirit, a dead soul. You know, they felt that they could do that and film it and get away with it. It was evil. That's evil on another level. And you had that many people. I just don't understand how could you have 14 people? They even stuffed something down his mouth because they didn't want him to scream. They had it all set up for him. That was intentional. That should be first-degree murder. And it's horrible. And there's no justice, no peace. His family needs justice. He needs justice. He already had a judge and a jury. He already had a judge and a jury that convicted him. He's not supposed to be going, you know, they still have rights in jail. They're still citizens. They still have rights. He had the right to serve his sentence and to come out. But now he's coming out in a body bag, murdered by the officers. They're not supposed to murder people, but they did. They did, and they're so brazen that they videotaped it. That's how brazen. They didn't care who saw the video. And what they did, they turned the sound off. The audio wasn't on, but they had the video because they didn't think that anything was going to happen to them. They didn't think anything was going to happen to them. They're not above the law. They're not above the law. They're supposed to serve. And the worst thing about it, that's how cops get a bad name. When you have the token few that are so soulless that will behave like that.
Chrono, we're not for the alphabet community and for gas prices and grocery store prices being higher and illegal immigrants killing American citizens. So yeah, we can't agree on that, bro.
You know, I didn't even get to do a video yes about the immigrant. He looked like he possessed. He setting the lady on fire, gonna watch her burn, and no remorse. Nobody's talking about that.
That's one of the most evil things.
That was just as evil. This woman, American citizen, riding the train, he burnt her to death. And ain't no outrage. What's wrong? What's going on here? Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe. We have like 100. I really appreciate it. It helps the channel. You could comment too. Like, I do look at the comments like afterwards. I know we're doing the chat, and I don't want to be all up on it like that, just to see like what you guys are saying. But we got to, you got to stand up. Going in 2025, I'm believing God for exceeding abundantly more than I could ever dare ask for or think. And part of it is like when he gives you a voice, you need to speak up. It only takes one person to make a difference. You can make a difference.
Oh, look at that comment, Mom.
What?
Look at that comment.
I love your hair.
Angel.
I love your hair. You look gorgeous. Well. Oh, your murder charges are coming. Thank you so much, Angel. I appreciate it. It won't be first degree, second, third degree is coming. Yeah, so we just gotta, you just gotta have faith in God, that God is gonna, he's a God of justice, but that was like, people really should have a problem with what happened.
So I said that we're on the wrong side of humanity.
I don't think they talking to us. I just ignored that because they can't be talking about us because the wrong side, the right side is not agreeing with what happened. No matter who it is, even if I knew the cops or guards, if they were relatives, I would still call it wrong.
They sound like Star Wars on the wrong side of humanity. Like this is Obi-Wan Kenobi type stuff.
What is it?
Yeah, but that was, hard to see. At first when I heard about it, I was really more in the middle because I didn't accept what he did as his wife as something that anyone should get away with. But then I realized and thought about that he got a sentence for that, and that's not their job to be the executioner, the butcherer, So after some time, I started realizing, yeah, that definitely shouldn't have happened. And I'm like, that could have been me because these cops were completely unhinged and insane. So
yeah.
Where you going, Mom?
Right here. Yeah, so you know, no justice, no peace. You have to do what's right. And especially going into the new years, I just hope people, however they were or however they were thinking, like you gotta, think about people other than yourself too. At times, because this stuff is like crazy what's been going on. So I hope you guys, what do you guys have planned for the New Year's? I hope you have got plans for a wonderful New Year's. How you guys bringing it in. Yeah, it does. We just like, I hope that people like, one thing about I like new beginnings. Like the new year's going to come in and everybody's going to have an opportunity to have like a new beginning. You can start all over again. Whatever was in the past was in the past. Just pray, for 2025, to accomplish some of your goals or even to be just a better person. You could start with that. But like, just to know that tomorrow is the last day of the new year, you need to live that day to the fullest, because some people, they're not even gonna make it till tomorrow. That Robert Brooks didn't make it to the new year, so you gotta be thankful that you're here, and as long as you're here, you can make a difference. And going into the new year, we're gonna probably just go to church and bring the New Year's in with God, and bring it in like that, and with family members, we probably just get together. We usually have food and all that kind of stuff. So, but that's what we're going to do for the New Year's. But it is a new beginning, day one. Just like Trump is like, he can't wait. Like he said, like, that's why he has to push on Mike Johnson, which I wish they could have gotten rid of. But we need to certify that election, and he has to do it, by January the 6th. We don't want this to, be a prolonged thing. But we want to come in, but he's coming into the new year ready, and he's going to hit the ground running. So that's what we want. We want to hit the ground running, for our new year. Whatever goals you have, you got to start on day one, because time goes by like this. Time goes by so fast. So you got to, just make sure that you take account of every day and just make your life better. Whatever you need to do. I know people are going through a lot. Like people are complaining about a lot of people are losing their houses right now. They can't afford the mortgages. People are living in cars and vans more than ever. When I'm online, I see even on YouTube, all these people are living, no matter what age, they living in vans, cars, and RV. They don't even have homes to live in.
Okay, Shia.
So just be thankful. If you have a roof over your head. I saw one guy, he living in the woods. He made his own makeshift house. I mean, people are really, going through it. So however you're blessed that you have food on the table and you have a roof over your head, just be thankful, because your life can change like that. You can have a job one day and don't have a job the next day. And not having that job can change your entire life instantly. And the way people are today, you just can't go to your family member and say, oh, I don't have nowhere to live. Can I live here? They might not let you even stay in their house. Be thankful.
You blindly following your sheep like, yeah.
Don't forget to hit those likes, share, and subscribe, please. I appreciate it. It helps the channel to grow.
They said they're staying in their car, but they're praising the Lord.
Oh, praise God.
Praise God.
See, people don't think about that. Like even right now, like,
illegal immigrants.
He's living in his car. Yeah. There's people on here living in their car. And we got people that want to, instead of like, standing their ground for stuff that's right, they'd rather call right wrong and wrong right. Just be thankful of how God has blessed you. Imagine that you don't have a house to go in. Your car is your home. You can't walk around in your car. And no matter what the weather is, how you're going to stay warm or even go to the bathroom.
And got illegal immigrants in these nice hotels.
And got illegal immigrants living in luxury hotels, providing beds, food, shelter, EBT cards, money, health care. And you got American citizens that are living in cars. And I'm like, well, it's better at least be in a car, because then you got the other part living on the actual streets. So at least a car is some form of shelter, but it's not much. And you got people who go to work every day who are homeless. You have working homeless people. Some people have 2 jobs and they are homeless. So this doesn't, the way this country, what's been going on, hopefully that things would get turned around. And we can't expect for it to happen right away. We got to allow Trump to get in office and allow him to do what he needs to do to get this country back on track, because it didn't happen overnight, what they have done to this country. Like no other country has had open borders like this. No, here we were the country that took in prisoners from Venezuela that empty out their jails. When Trump used to say that, I thought he was kidding. And then I found out they really did empty out their jails. Their crime rate did go down. They're here. They're here now. So that's a lot. So he has a lot of work to do. But like I said, you just got to be thankful that you have a roof over your head, because there are people even watching this stream that are living in their vehicle right now or don't have a home to go to. Some people might be losing their homes or their apartments or their jobs. There's a lot of layoffs that are going on. So people are losing that, and is the way that car insurance is costly now. Everything is so high. Everything, your gas, your electric, your water bill, your sewer bill, your car note, your insurance, all of it. Food. Don't forget about food. So if you can afford all those things, just be thankful, because a lot of people have to make sacrifices and they have to decide what they can pay for and what they're unable to pay for. So if you are able to live a comfortable life, be happy.
Yeah,
just be happy.
Yeah, Fred had a bad day.
What happened?
No, Fred is trolling the chat. Someone said he had a bad day.
Yeah, but a lot of times people don't realize, they think they have it bad, but not until you see what someone else is going through. Then you realize that your life is not as bad as you thought that it was. So, like, I'm just saying this now because people need to just be happy. Let's see what he's saying. Yeah, so you just gotta be just happy, be thankful, put God first. This is like we get ready to enter, like right now, this is December the 31st. This is the last day of the year.
Imagine the world we would be living in right now if Kamala won.
I would be depressed, like how those Democrats were talking about they leaving the country. They like, I'm leaving the country. I would have felt like them, to be honest.
Right now.
Oh yeah, Putin been happy. They would have taken over the world. President Xi and Putin, they would be running. They would have been running this world.
Yeah.
So we're thankful, because they most definitely would have been. But we gotta like pray for those, like even the trolls or whatever. A lot of times when people act out or they try to say, just nasty things or make nasty remarks, whatever the case may be, is because of what they're going through. It's like they're going through a lot, and that's why you do have to pray for people. You got to pray for people, and that's why you got to put God first, and you got to give grace to people, because a lot of times, like especially online, if you don't have tough skin, you might as well not even be online, because people are going, people are more emboldened online because they can hide behind,
Yeah, Call of Duty prepared me for this.
Yeah, they can hide behind the chat, the screen, their social media accounts. A lot of times they don't have pictures, so it's easy. They can say what they want to say, call y'all whatever, but you can't see them, so that's an easy way for them to, I guess, get their steam off or whatever the case may be. But a lot of times they just need prayer. You just gotta give people grace. And people are very emboldened online, and they try to say the average person on here with people that are in their lives right now, the freaking jobs you go to, the people in that job that you scared of, that you won't say nothing to, and that's a fact. Because there's always, just like in school, there's always bullies on the job. Whether it's your supervisors, your managers, or your co-workers, or whatever, that make your day miserable every time you go to work. You're like, damn, if they wasn't at work today, I would have a better day. So there's always, someone that, that's like that. So you're going to run. So it's not just online. So these same people that say, well, I will say it to you. No, you won't. You don't say you don't say it to the people that you work with in their face. You don't even probably say it to your neighbors in their face. So all that is just talking smack.
There's cowards who say stuff like that.
Yeah, they just talking smack. They know good and darn well that they not going to get in their, they won't get in their coworkers' faces. Or their neighbors' faces.
School bully faces.
Yeah. Jobs are like school bullies. There's always a bully on a job. And that's you just gotta stand 10 toes down and let people know that, look, I don't care, you're on the job there, and look, don't let this fool you. You know, you gotta get right with people. Yeah, they do bully. If there is a bully, yeah, so anyway, there are always people, because people go to work miserable. So people be having bad marriages, or they kids done did something, or whatever the case may be. And you got these supervisor managers, people come to jobs with their problems. And that's how it is. And sometimes, you don't have to do anything to anyone. It's just that that's who they are. Especially some people in authority. That's how them cops were. They beat up that guy. They have authority. They come with their authority, and then they feel like that they can just treat people any kind of way. But that's when you got to let them know, not today. No, I ain't the one. You got to let them know. But that does happen. It does happen on jobs. I've seen it happen. And I don't care who it is. Like on my jobs, whatever, I don't care who it is. I've been in, supervisor position, but then you always have someone even over you or whatever. And you just gotta let them know. And that's how it is. So, but people are more emboldened online than they are in person. And that's a fact. The stuff that they're saying.
They're timid in person.
Huh?
They're timid in person.
Yeah. But that's what they do. They find a stream that they want to comment on, and if it's a problem, then you don't have to be on it. Just go and listen to someone that you want to listen to. That's all. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe. Hit the like button, you guys. Before the new year come in, I really want to well, I can't meet that goal right now.
The thing about this that's really just makes it really out there is that these are grown adults that come here to troll. It's not like they're little kids coming here and trolling.
Yeah, these are adults. But see, when you go to work and you start working at jobs, you're going to realize that this is how adults. I was so surprised, when I first got my first job, and I was 20 years old. I mean, my first real career job while going to school. I was so shocked to find out that adults acted more childish than I did. I was like, look how old they are. They old enough to be my mom, my grandparent, whatever. And they acted like children. And that was so shocking to me, because at the time I was working with thousands of people, and it was I was one of the youngest people, they say, on that floor. I probably was the youngest. And I couldn't believe how childish adults behave. They behave like kids. And it took me a while to realize that. I'm like, wow. Yeah, and they got children, but they didn't learn how to grow up.
Just like how I was thinking that in high school, the students' cafeteria is almost identical to the teachers' cafeteria. They got their cliques, their friends.
Yeah, teachers have their cliques and friends too.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Let me put this on here so they can
It's getting time to go to bed now, though.
Yeah, we get to wind down, but before they go, I want them to.
What are you doing, Mom?
Don't please leave the car.
I'm getting pretty tired.
Okay.
But everyone, thank you that Trump's president again. Yep, Jesus Christ is King.
Christ is King. Jesus Christ is King. Lord. Like, share, subscribe. Oops, this is the last one. I can't believe this is the last day of the year. Okay, so we've been like 2 hours. We've got 70 likes. And a few more. You reading the comments?
No. It's time to go to bed.
Okay, you guys. But anyway, it's now December the 31st. Tomorrow this time, it'll be New Year's. We're going to go, woohoo, 2025. That sounds good.
Spaghetti with shrimp, right?
Oh, yeah. I usually do it like a linguine and shrimp. We do crab legs. We do seafood to bring in the New Year's. That's what we do. And we just have Martinelli, you know, something like that. I might have some wine tomorrow, though. And I want to give God the glory and everything. It's proud of the man standing on 10 toes. That's right. Yeah, so God is so good, and we're so thankful. But this is December the 31st, the last day of 2024. And we're going to see you guys. I don't know. We might come in and say hi to everybody for New Year's. Wish everyone a happy New Year's. We might do that tomorrow, but we don't know.
All right, God bless
But
you guys.
we're going to sign off. Thanks for joining us. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll know when we come back on. Like, share, and subscribe. And we'll be talking to you probably New Year's Day, if not New Year's Day. Or, yeah, we will, or the day after. But we wish everyone, God bless you. We wish you a happy New Year's. We hope that all you guys stay safe and all is well. And God is good. Jesus is King. Christ Jesus is Lord. And God bless all you. Bye.
Bye.